All right. Higgins, talk for me.
Hey.
Yep, you sound good.
And we're back.
Yeah, you're
Just
good.
lean forward a little bit.
I told you not to bother us, and I'm recording all of this. I hope you're proud. A shout out on the last episode wasn't good enough for you, which you haven't even listened to. Aaron's here, everyone. Bye, Aaron.
Love you, babe.
This is perfect. We can just run with this as an intro and maybe just get straight into it. Right, boys?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Michael?
See.
Good. Diversity on the podcast. I love that.
Oh, see. Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Oui.
Welcome, everyone, to the Comicsology Club. It's a podcast where I, Snoop Lynch, and my co-host, Higgins Stern.
Hey, that's me.
That's right. Together on the road once again, come to our favorite boy, Michael Lopez.
Yo.
He's right there. Now, together, the three of us, we're going to talk about a book. We're going to talk about a drink that we've been drinking and probably will get us pretty good in the end. Might be getting me right now. And we're going to do that together. But first, Higgins, let's take a moment and talk about the business that sponsors this podcast.
All right, but first, before we talk about the business that sponsors us, I just want everybody to know that we're in the late 1960s Vietnam right now recording this. People are staring at us. They don't know what microphones are, I don't think.
I don't
think
didn't
they have
exist
that
back then, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Good morning, Vietnam.
They definitely did, but yeah.
People are listening to this on a gramophone, probably.
The business that we're about to talk about definitely didn't exist yet.
No, but if it did, what would it do, this business? What is this business called also?
I mean, should we talk about it or should we let Michael talk about it?
Michael, what do you do?
Oh, I am the owner of 008 Studios, and that is your sponsor.
Yes.
So I'm the boss. I'm playing. No,
He's the boss and the guest.
No, I and the collaborators and the studio as a whole, we write, we create, we develop. Our whole thing is bringing stories to life regardless of medium. So we create our own stuff and we sponsor others so that they can do the same.
Damn straight you do. We love every bit of that. You've done 5 books already, and you're working, you told me the other day, on 8 projects this year. Is that right?
So our goal is to beat number 5. So last year we did publish 5 books. So this year we have, and hopefully if everything goes according to plan, we have 8 books slotted for release 2024 and anywhere between 2 to 3 games, and our first original comic.
Oh my God, Higgins, we talk about comics.
We do talk about comics. He's probably going to make us read that.
Make us, I mean.
I would never
if
make
we don't
you
make
guys
ourselves
do anything.
do that first.
Yeah.
But you, just for the record, you could make us do whatever you want. You are the boss / guest.
Right,
so,
yeah.
You know, exciting
The boss
stuff.
guest. The guest boss?
The guest boss, exactly. All right, so Mr. Guest Boss, you're doing all that. Is there any, we've been teasing some projects that have come out. We, an episode or 2 ago, we talked about For a Few Days More by ZB Steel. Now, are there any other books? One you co-wrote or co-created?
Yeah, and it's good that we're jumping into it because while we don't have a recording from the primary author. Her name is Holly Bargo. She's one of the best-selling author on Amazon for really a lot of genres. One of her most, I guess, prominent ones is called The Russian Lullaby.
Okay.
So, really good read. But she is not able to do a recording for X reasons. But, since I co-authored and I've spoken to her, I can talk a little bit about the project.
We'll do it then. We'd love that. Yeah.
So, the project, this 2023 release that we're talking about now is called The Bounty. It is our first Western, and I'd arguably call it our first Christian Western, or at least a Western with Christian influence.
Your son helped you write it, is what you mean? Your son
No,
Christian?
no.
Oh, okay.
No. It's a spiritual journey for the individual in the book. And basically what the book is about is we have this lone bounty hunter who goes on basically what could be considered his last bounty. It's a personal bounty, something that he's been holding on for quite a bit of time. And in his journey to reach the bounty, he experiences an unexpected peace, something that he's never, experienced before, something that he wasn't really, expecting. And it ends up changing him to the point where, he has to decide whether he actually wants to go through with the bounty or make a change in his life. So it's a story about redemption. There's plenty of action in it, good old shootouts, Western cowboy stuff. And there's a really nice horse.
Oh, I love a good horse.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, that horse better not die. That was no spoilers though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we will burn down your house if that horse dies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which is where we're at right now. Thank you
Because
for
that
having
does
us.
sound like he said he co-authored it. I bet that's the one part that he put in there.
He demanded that
He
that
demanded
horse
that the
died.
horse died.
Yeah, no,
Didn't we talk about Michael killing dogs and something one episode too?
I mean, Higgins, in a way, we only talk about the truth.
Yeah.
People can take that how they want it.
I'm so glad you guys think that about me.
We think you're a great guy with a great business as well, So
Yeah.
credit where credit's due.
You just
Appreciate
can't
it.
have everything. Sometimes you like to kill animals.
Yeah.
Or sometimes we like to talk about zombies,
Yeah. Oh, it's a good thing we like to do that, and we're in the perfect mindset to do it because we read a zombie book, and we should talk about that now.
That Michael picked.
That Michael did pick. Michael, you picked that book. I told everyone on the last episode what it is, but you tell us on this episode what it is.
Well, the title or is really big and bold in the cover is called 68. But the way I found it was known as Jungle Jim.
Yes, which is so. This is a series written by Mark Kidwell. Thank you, Higgins. Art by Nat Jones and colors by J Photos. So
Nice name.
we covered the first volume, which is called Better Run Through the Jungle. It came out in 2011. Michael, you found a one-shot story, which is known as Jungle Jim. This has been going really since 2006, and it wasn't really picked up and ongoing until the volume we're going to talk about today, which was 2011. So, yes, we after a bit of we almost had a Jupiter's Legacy repeat where we all almost read a different thing, but we are reading Volume 1, Better Run Through the Jungle, and it's a little confusing, but basically the premise of all of these is what if zombies were hanging out in Vietnam during 1968?
I almost think I read like the Jungle Gym one at one point. Because, man, as soon as he said Jungle Gym, I was like, I feel like I read something about zombies in Vietnam before.
Okay.
But I don't know if Michael told me about it or if I read it in Nebraska when I was reading all sorts of other comics.
Yeah.
Anything's
But-
possible. Yeah,
Zombies in a War Zone, that's pretty neat concept, though.
Yeah.
absolutely.
All the dead bodies. It's just like a wild place to be like, now they come back.
They're basic bitch zombies, but there's a reason for that. And there's a reason that this is specifically set in 68 because Higgins asked a question I honestly couldn't answer the last time. And was Vietnam happening in 68? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure, but I don't know if that's when it started. It didn't start, as far as I know, in 68. So that being said, what is the importance of 68? So another thing that happened in 1968 was the release of the zombie film, Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, wow.
So that's what these zombies are supposed to be based off of. Like, the mechanics of it, how it works, and this and that is really just the idea is birthed from kind of a love letter to that original idea.
I don't know, though, man. These zombies are a little bit more than like just basic zombies.
I was about to say the same thing.
One of them's like walking around with like a scythe, like slashing dudes' heads off. And I swear there was like a zombie sniper too.
There is.
There is, yeah.
Yes.
And then there's also like a big man, what's that one Hulk villain that's like just a mashup of a bunch of the Abomination?
Amelia Clark's character in Secret Invasion?
I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
But Abomination?
don't.
I would just call it a blob.
It's just a blob with a bunch of like bodies mixed together and faces and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yes, which is the cool thing about putting this in Vietnam, that as far as the idea of a zombie apocalypse, that's been done to death, but putting it in Vietnam, they kind of get to have some fun with that. And I guess like when I'm saying they're basic bitch zombies, they're zombies, they're people, if you get killed or bitten, you'll turn into one and you shoot them in the head, they're done. And that's like the groundwork for all zombie things that people have played off of. But I think it's honestly a better idea to kind of bring it back to basics. And they still do a lot of kind of fun, interesting things that again are ripped from that movie. Apparently that idea, and you've already spoken into it, of there's a sniper zombie and one that hacks someone's head off with a scythe or something. They're not doing that consciously. It's almost as if, and this is what the creators have said in interviews that I looked at, is it's memories of their past selves.
Yeah,
so
it's
it's
like a
almost like
lingering
autopilot.
thing.
Yeah.
Because they
Muscle
kind of
memory.
do that in the first issue too, where like I thought he was going to be our main character, and then he just ends up dying anyways. But he's writing like a letter to his wife, girlfriend, something back home.
Mhm.
And as far as he could tell, he's not even sure it's actually ever going to get sent. And you're like, it just cuts off like right at the beginning, and it leaves you with those ... dots. But then at the end, he kind of like finishes that sentence with but like zombie, like a zombie wrote it. And it's like, we're coming back home.
Yeah.
The zombies are coming back.
Which they do, yeah.
Yeah,
And
pronto.
you actually, so Michael and I read the digital version. You bought the book, you got the real paperback thing right in your hands. Go ahead and flip some pages.
As I've always done.
Always and forever.
At least like within the past, I don't know, last 2 or 3 years, I've been keeping steady on that.
That's basically all the episodes we've done.
That's all the important ones.
Yeah. So, well, something important about the copy that you got that ours didn't have is you have the original story.
Oh, yeah?
So the first issue in that volume, because Michael and I were just taking a quick peek while you were out in the other room, just seeing what you're up to. What are you doing? That has the original one shot that kicked all of this off, written in 2006. It's just
so
called
like
68.
you guys didn't read the first issue that I read?
No. So the first issue.
That's good because man, I read that first issue, and then it jumped into what I guess your first issue is.
Yes.
And it was very confusing.
Yes, and it even has because I went and looked through it, and it even has some of the characters that start in the first issue that we read, but those characters would have been dead if it was the same continuity.
Yeah, it was like the same. It was like we're starting on the same day, and I was just like, I guess they're just doing like a, what's that called when movies start in
non-linear order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They like start like, hey, you might be wondering how I got here. I thought they did one of those. There's
okay.
like a TV word for that, right?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
In, I don't know, some retrograde thing or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah.
Bronto's like kind of the only character that actually like is like mentioned again, kind of.
That you see, yeah.
Yeah.
But so yes, that was the original story. Same creative team, and they wrote that in 2006.
That was really good.
Yeah, it was still for Image, and it just sat for 5 years, and they wanted to go back to it, but they just got busy with their own things, doing their own like comic publishing scenarios and this and that. Well, finally in 2011, they went back to Image, and they're like, we want to do more of this, and it's pretty much, as far as I know, been continuing since. So, and it kind of keeps that idea of, same as this first volume does, where you've got the one story about these characters, we're going to conclude it, and you might see them pop up again, but any other story, like any other volume, like Jungle Gym, for example, it's going to be taking place either at the same time, shortly after, shortly before, in a different part of the world, but it's all set in the same continuity at that point. Like, this is the one that kicks off the big overall continuity story.
Yeah, this whole book's been, the entire book's set on like February 13th, 1968, basically. You never leave that day.
Yeah, you just jump from different like people's perspectives to right at around or shortly after the time of events you've been reading. And I think that's a good call for something like this, where using zombies at this point isn't necessarily interesting, but using zombies in this backdrop and visiting different people in different parts of the war and what are they doing and what are they supposed to be doing, I think that's where this really kind of comes into play and works well for me. Michael, what did you think? You picked this, so what was your impression after you read it?
So this book, I don't remember. Don't ask, but this book actually brought me back to one of the very first comics that I ever read, and I say that because the very first comic, again, I don't remember the name, but I remember opening the pages, and there were zombies and gore, and I was just like, oh, this is pretty cool. But I opened this book, and that's exactly what I got: zombies and gore. I thought it was very interesting. Setting Vietnam, the closest thing to hell that you could have possibly gotten to, and then you add zombies to it, it makes it much worse.
Yes.
Overall, like throughout all the issues, because I kind of read ahead, but throughout all of them, it's amazing to me, and to your point, you never leave the day how quickly they think or they thought that it would have progressed. And I thought it was, it added that extra layer of fear to the zombies, because back then when zombies were first introduced, that was it. They were the boogeyman. You know, nowadays you think of a zombie apocalypse and you think, okay, well, if it starts in Florida, it's never going to reach the rest of the United States. But you know, so like it kind of took me back in time, and I really enjoyed it. But it was very much an action zombie type feel to it. You know?
Yeah, it's really good at kind of instilling that terror, which it is hard to do because we're so overexposed to this genre at this point, you know? And we've seen good versions, we've seen bad versions, we've seen plenty of versions that are just fine. So it's always, whenever you go into a story at this point, at least for me, it's like, well, how are you going to set yourself apart? And I think they do a really good job here, especially with the art in particular. Like, the thing about Vietnam that makes it, as you were, you know, kind of talking, like hell on earth, everything's so grubby. Just like the war, like, I wouldn't want to be in any war, but being in this one, the absolute worst case scenario. And then you throw on zombies on top of that, and also like the danger of they really can come from anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when you're in the city, it's like, well, there'll probably be a horde around the corner or whatever, so I won't go there. Like if I go into a dark, unlit mall, yeah, I'm probably going to, like, you kind of expect certain things. But this, it's like, well, they could be in, you know, in the fields that I'm standing in. It's like they could be in the tunnels, because a big, you know, kind of action piece of this is you see this gross kind of amalgamation of people that were turned into zombies and now they're walking around as one. That happened because the Viet Cong would bury their soldiers and their people to kind of hide the body count from the US, as far as this is how many of us are gone and how many we have left. So that leads into that.
And then apparently the smell or something too.
Yeah.
The smell was constant throughout, or
Apparently,
obviously you couldn't smell it as you read it, but they kept commenting on the smell.
On how bad it was, which is insane, because you got to think like how they fought, like how the Viet Cong fought back then. You know, you've got bamboo covered in shit. Like everything probably smelled awful, so you got used to it. So this is a smell worse than that.
How sucky would it be if, one, you step on a trap and you get a shit covered spike run through your leg and you die to infection, and then you get brought back as a zombie with the infection still there?
Yes, it's just not a good time. And I really like, again, I really like that for this story of just like, God, everyone's just so nasty and gross and just sick of everything. It's like,
That's war.
yeah, it's a war unlike any other, you know. And it just kind of to see, this is, again, I don't know the exact, I'm not a history person, so I don't know the exact dates as far as when the US went to Nam and everything, but it would have probably been a few years in, and everyone's already just so sick of this war. And now it's like, and now there's zombies. Like, I hate all of this. You got the doctor who's just he's an absolute drunk, because you would be, wouldn't you? It's like I had to sew up a bunch of kids that shouldn't even be here going through this, and now they're zombies. It's like,
he's already against the war, but now he's like having to deal with like the worst part of the war.
Yep. And then now, you know, now that you have introduced this new factor, you know, the zombies, right? And, you know, his drinking, he's given up. Just like we got wounded. Okay, lay him right there. I'll put a 9mm in him in a little bit.
I'm absolutely jack of this. And like, you should be too. Just get us out of here. And it's also that thing of no one's really a good guy in this. Even the people that are good are slowly just kind of giving into this hatred and just, again, exhaustion. Because if we have anything close to a main character, it's probably the first soldier we're introduced to.
Was it?
He is
Yam?
Yes, Private Yam.
Kyun Yam.
Yes.
Yam.
Yeah, he's
Private
got some
Yam.
yams. Yeah.
Because
And
they called him Sweet Potato.
they did.
That's right. That's
Naruto
right.
calls
Yeah.
him that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he again, he's probably the closest thing we get to a main character, and he's probably the best guy in this, but also at the same time, you can see it. He's just like, I'm sick of all of this, and we don't even know if he makes it out in the end. You know, last time we see him, he's been separated again, and there's zombies coming down the fence line, and he's just got two guns in both hands, just lighting them up, and it's like, maybe he lives. And I also like that element of this and what they're doing by, you know, working on other stories that are set in this world, is we might never see him again. That he might have died, and I'm okay with it, just be given, like, again, that context of it's a zombie apocalypse and it's during Vietnam. It's like, yeah, we don't really have main characters here at this point, or at least maybe not for long.
Yeah. And
we don't got a Daryl with a crossbow.
We don't know.
No, but the one thing I did like, it played on every aspect of the Vietnam War. So it wasn't just the war, but the politics involved. So if you recall, during the actual Vietnam era, hippies, people that were so against the war that they were actually like, this was the very beginning of celebrities going to a crisis zone and saying, please don't do this, and then flying back. And that was just like, the introduction of them just doing a photo op, right?
Yeah.
So you have individuals, or the concept of these individuals going there for a photo op, getting infected and going back, and then that introduces a whole new, dilemma.
I don't think she made it back though.
No, she didn't, but
someone did.
Yeah, somebody did. And that's another thing there's a lot of dead women.
So yeah.
That was the thing, man. That was the part of the art that Nat Jones had a lot of fun with.
Yeah.
She I don't know.
They,
them.
Yeah, I don't know who Nat Jones is, but they like big boobs.
Yeah, they got into
and they cannot lie.
But none of them, not one of them had a nipple on them, so I don't think it's like explicit.
Yeah, no, you can still sell this to a kid, I think.
There was a lot of detail, and that's what I meant. Like, just, it was an unexpected addition to it.
Yeah, the art in this, I've never really known anything that these creators have done, but just looking at the art in particular and like the era of when this came out, and again, how just grubby it is, it kind of gave me vibes that I felt when I read Punisher Max for the first time, which is a really, really good Punisher series, but it is violent and it's over the top, as like a zombie thing should be. Like, there's people being disemboweled and heads flying and this and that. But I think, and Michael touched on it, the factual side of this is actually pretty well done. I went back and read some of kind of the Q&A, letter to the reader stuff that Mark Kidwell did, and there wasn't much to it, but how he did it is he would have like item, like, we're gonna be at this Comic-Con, but then it'd be followed up by fact, and talking about the idea of actors and celebrities going for a photo op. That particular woman in this story is based off something that Jane Fonda actually did. And he has photos of that particular photo op of her with the helmet on and like, posing with the Viet Cong soldiers, and like, the US should stop. So all of that stuff, and again, the tunnels and the traps, like all of that is based in actual fact, and they even got people in to back it up. So there's a guy that they brought in as a consultant when they were writing these stories. His name is Bruce Sikat, and he is a 3-tour veteran of Vietnam. So they actually hired a guy, brought him in, and they're like, we're thinking about doing this with the Viet Cong, tunnel trap, or this and that. And he's like, yeah, that's accurate, that'll work. So I think, again, like, you didn't have to do that. I would have never have even noticed it, but it does add a lot into to have those little snippets of real stuff worked into this fictional story with zombies that you're writing. Just, it adds so much more to the world that they're building, and it feels real. Even the stuff going into like the other issue where it's back in the US and there's a peaceful riot that goes wrong. So yeah, all good stuff. But you wanted to speak into something.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the bestest boy in this comic.
Is it the dog?
Yeah.
I love the dog.
I know.
Nero.
And to Higgins' point, since he likes accusing me of being a sadistic animal abuser, which I am not.
I know you probably hated the one thing I don't know if this is real zombie facts or not, but like,
they don't prefer
in
dogs.
our book they don't. Yeah, they don't.
They like,
zombies don't get.
They can
get
differentiate between animals and humans. They prefer humans.
Not interested in
Yeah. So the fact that the dog lived, kudos to the writer, according to Higgins. So
yeah, kudos to the writer for me. Like I said, Michael probably hated it, but like that big amalgamation, just like Nero just full on bites into him, and then
for the viewers,
the
at
little
home,
thing just booped it off to the side. Yeah, he might be a little hurt, but he survives.
Yeah, for the viewers at home, I love dogs. I got 2 of my own. So just for the record,
that he could beat up later.
Oh my God, stop!
No, I'm just kidding.
Nero's a cool one.
Yeah. Again, another compliment to the art. This artist can kind of switch tone whenever he feels like it, and it just works naturally. So that dog can be honestly scarier than the zombies during some of these sequences.
Oh yeah, when he first meets the CIA boy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then it flips
scary.
and it's like, oh, I love Nero. What a good boy this guy is. Like that, it's kind of understated, I think, in the art, like how much he is doing. It's a lot of jungle. It's a lot of, fields, and the detail that's put into like the settings and the people, and then the zombies. Like, everyone has a unique look, but it all blends seamlessly. And it does carry a lot of this book for me. I don't think that some of the things would hit as hard as they do without the art being as kind of spectacular as it is.
Yeah.
You can kind of lose sight of that when it is toned down with like the colors, as it should be given the setting that they're in. So yeah, just a really good kind of subtle pairing of colorist and artist that work really well for this story, I think. And then also you get to gets to stretch his muscles a bit when you do go to that third issue where it's set back in the US and it's like, what's happening over here? And you just get to see, I think they're in California if I remember correctly, and just kind of
Berkeley,
see,
I think.
yeah, and just see that, like, what are people up to there? And also like people there are kind of scary, and like, minus the zombies even, like you have that thing where it's supposed to be a peaceful rally, but it's against the cops at the same time. So the guy's like, hey, if you want to be part of our group, you got to kill this cop. And that's kind of what causes everything to break out into chaos, that paired with zombie stuff. And
I know it's a real bummer too, because the guy that told him he had to kill him, he was like a pretty chill dude other than that part.
Other than the part where he wanted someone to murder a man, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, like, he seemed like a pretty cool guy.
He seemed like a good guy you'd hang out with.
Yeah, like a chill hang.
I'd buy him dinner at least once.
At least once, yeah. Because he'd probably shoot you if you didn't. But yeah, it just and it also kind of adds to the stakes of what's going on, the bigger story of the world, because it's like, oh, this isn't just happening in Vietnam. This is happening everywhere, which adds even more to like the pointlessness of the war, I think, to go like, we're over here trying to go to Vietnam and kill these people, but there's so much bigger and worse things going on that they don't even know about. They don't realize it's spread. And also we find out through this that everybody has it. It's already something that's in everyone in the world. If you die, you're just going to come back as a zombie.
It's one of those zombie things where it's like, yeah, now just if you die, you'll be zombie.
Yeah.
We don't know why, but if you die, you'll be zombie.
I believe that's also something that's taken from that original movie.
Yeah.
I think, again, a lot of those kind of rules that they set, while they expand a little bit in their own way, it's mostly grounded as a homage to that movie, Night of the Living Dead.
I don't know if it's like a standard rule now, but that was also in The Walking Dead.
It was. That was the big reveal, a couple seasons in before they, whatever they're doing in season 10. It's over, I think, now. But also has like 18 spinoffs.
There's a few spinoffs now.
And like, I'm pretty sure they brought
they did a movie
Michonne
with Rick.
Michonne and Rick.
It was like a movie.
I didn't know it was a movie.
Apparently it's pretty good.
I made it to like season 7, which is more seasons of a show that I'd ever watched.
Was Glenn the Asian guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, when he died, I stopped watching.
I stopped watching.
That's
when,
about right after I did.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, that would have been around 7.
You can't spoil Walking Dead anymore, I don't think.
Because no one cares.
Just making sure, you know?
Yeah. No, and I kind of had a similar vibe with this as I did when I first started watching The Walking Dead, where it's like, oh, like this is kind of exciting because you get to learn about these characters as they go and how they interact and what do they do in these situations that they're clearly not prepared for. And also the pairings. I think it's the biggest thing with these jumping from place to place is, what are the pairings like? And do I find them entertaining? And for a lot of these, I found really entertaining. Like you have the guy, Mr. Yams, and he gets out of a scrape with some zombies in a tunnel, which is terrifying. Imagine that being your first exposure.
That was pretty cool.
With a Bowie knife.
Yeah, yeah.
Just slicing hands off.
Yeah, and so he gets out of that, thankfully, and the dog finds him. And already you're like, okay, great pairing. I love to see some more of this. But then they also throw in the element of his commanding officer who was with him, who was the worst person to him.
The sergeant, yeah.
He ends up helping him out, and they're not together long, but to see the interactions of them kind of coming to an understanding of each other because there is this worst thing happening. That was well done. I did like that.
Yeah.
And then he gets blown up, which
tripwire and stuff like that. All that stuff happens. Yeah. He ran into 2 traps.
Yeah. Which best case scenario for that guy, because he
hated him.
Well, he hated him, but also that guy was going to turn into a zombie after being infected by the trap anyway.
The poopy trap that I mentioned.
Exactly. Yeah. That was a poopy trap.
Yeah.
Was there any other kind of stories that stood out to you guys that you're like, I really like what they're doing here?
So aside from Nero being the original dog meat from Fallout 4, I'm terrible with names. The Captain Bryce looking dude from the base.
The main captain with the mustache?
Yeah, that
Duncan?
guy. He was a bit of a hard ass, and I think actually now that I mention it, he reminded me a lot of Captain Bryce from Call of Duty.
Yeah.
But there was a point. He was such a hard ass throughout the entire comic, and at the very, I guess, end, the final stand of that base, he sees one of the zombies that he recognizes, and he just breaks down.
Yeah.
You know, so I like that development because.
Was that like what the love guy? That was kind of his like best boy. The one those other guys always made fun of for being like, yes, sir.
It was someone named Tommy, which I don't know if we saw in this version. I think he's in the one shot actually. He kind of gets more play, but they mentioned that he's either been missing or something happened to him. And yeah, I think it was like this, like Michael was saying, it's a good kind of, well, not a good, but it is an interesting turn for that character where he's been so composed and he's the sergeant. He knows exactly what to do. And right as all hell is breaking loose, they've got like a huge airstrike coming in their way. He just gives up. He's just like, this guy that I know that either I sent him to his death, something basically just makes him snap. And that's the end of that character.
And it's not that it was, I don't know if you'd label it good or bad, but it was different because a lot of the other characters have a gradual change to them. This one was just like snap, instant.
It's sudden, and it's just under the intense, like, again, all these things that he was not prepared to do or handle. He's kind of kept it together this whole time, and just this one thing finally makes him snap.
Yeah.
And then he's dead.
And then
he had like the whole thing where he like prayed to, and he called it something like
foxhole
religion or something like that.
That's an actual term too. But talking about pairings, him and the doctor, you would think the doctor would snap first because of everything that he's, saying and doing. But no, like it caught me by surprise. That was the only thing that I had to say about it.
I agree. It was almost kind of it was a real heel turn. But again, I think it works with, he had so much happening. It was only going to take like just one more thing to send him off over the edge, and that was the thing at the worst possible moment too. And there's this overwhelming message of like guilt and confusion with this war and what's happening, and now you've got zombies and you're having to fight a whole new enemy. And how do you fight that enemy while also keeping in mind like, well, I have been fighting these guys. And I like how they kind of work stuff like that into it as well, where the Viet Cong show up at the fire base because they're trying to get away from the zombies as well. And it's that thing of enemy of my enemy is my friend sort of situation. They mentioned that at one point. So yeah, let's work together. But at the same time, he's like, no, they're still the enemy. So I'm going to have them basically be the first line of defense, where they're between us, the zombies, and what's between me and them is a bunch of claymores and this and that. So it's like, you don't really trust these people and you don't really care what happens to them, but you do kind of have this mutual coming together. And
it's like, we're not going to shoot you, but we're also not going to like let you guys hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they didn't last very long, to be honest.
Which they mentioned that too. I think like it might have been the doctor talking to him. I think towards the end when he's like, "Well, sure, you said they're cool, but you're leaving them out there." And it's like, we already have a massacre out there. Do you want one in here too, or something like that?
Yeah, because
if we get them bunked together with like the enemy from like 5 minutes ago, how do you think that's going to play out?
And it makes perfect sense because tensions are, regardless of what's bringing them together, tensions have been so high. Like these guys were killing each other not even moments ago before they showed up asking for, to join them. It's like, yeah, you're not just going to kind of get rid of that in a matter of seconds with a talk. So, and it also works for the Viet Cong because they're not dumb. They know exactly what they're doing. But at the same time, it's like, well, we have a better chance doing it this way than just being out there with them. And it also adds to kind of show the zombies are even a bigger threat than the Viet Cong, which they have been fighting.
Yeah, man, there's so many of them.
Yeah, and they come out of nowhere.
It's like the biggest horde. We've been saying like, the basic slow zombies. They're a little faster, it seems like. Because like they got like a pretty big group surrounding that base pretty fast.
They're just hungry boys. When you're hungry, you get to
And they do a good job of building the lore in through it's expositional dialogue, but it doesn't feel exhausting to read. Where the doctor mentions rigor mortis still sets in.
I was gonna bring that up too because I was like, I never thought about that with zombies. The reason they're always like walking all weird and stuff is like
they're stiff.
And their bodies are stiff.
Yeah.
Never even thought about that with zombies before.
Yeah, and some are faster than others because they haven't been dead as long. And so that's why some of them can kind of clamber a little faster while others are just kind of they're crawling, just all they know is to eat and feed, and so they're still doing that, but it's a numbers game, it's like they're all of them are slower than us, but we only have so many bullets and so many eyes on them at a time, and they can kind of just through all of this chaos, through the explosions and the gunfire and the screaming, it's like they'll sneak up on you.
And every death on their side is an additional body for the other side. So it's instead of losing, like game talk, instead of losing 1 point, you're losing 2 points for every kill.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the other thing I was gonna mention is talking about the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and overlooking differences to fight the common enemy. They also did a little bit of, if I remember my English lessons, parallelism, something like that.
Parallelogram?
Something like that, yeah. Math, English, science, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But when you go back to...
Too bad we don't got Andy on here to tell us about the math, English, or the history that we've been learning.
Exactly. Hey, Mr.
Newman. He's a great math teacher. I bet he has a chili pepper on Rate My Professor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure he does.
Yeah. Spicy. Right? The way he rides that bike, man, just really gets me going. So anyway, when you go to the protests and stuff like that, you get a little bit of a sense of, the same thing. You have a cop and then one of the protesters that end up sneaking away from the
chaos of the riot and the zombie outbreak.
At first, they were in each other's face and, all that stuff. And then everything starts happening. People start realizing, and he ends up saving her, realizing that we're no longer enemies here. There's something bigger at play.
Yeah, it's just too bad that she's about to turn into a zombie.
That was the one thing I also liked about that, is that there's
it's just like, I got bit back there, but I'm sure I'm fine.
You'll be fine. It's fine. It's like, no, like you should gun her down immediately.
Yeah, you should just keep doing what you were supposed to do.
I know she put a sunflower inside the whatever of your gun, and that's symbolism and great, but like just a bullet to the head probably would be a better decision. Yeah. And it just builds to the world of this outbreak continuing, because it's like, well, even though they got away, she's going to turn and then turn him, and it's just going to keep spreading. It doesn't matter if you napalm that entire army base. Like, it's past the point of containment, and where does that go? And I like kind of the way that they've approached this. I haven't read any more, but reading kind of how they've been doing it over the years is we'll have one shots like there's one called Hardships, I think, and that the premise of that is there was a soldier who was sent back to actually I think Nebraska, Higgins, on hardship leave. So he may have gotten bit, and that's going to break out in there from there. And then there's Jungle Jim, where it jumps back to Vietnam. So they're just by not focusing on one group of characters for every story, they're able to just tell multiple stories and make you really feel like, oh, this is awful what's happening, and it's not going to stop. So I think that's a good call for something like this.
Yeah. I had a couple of one shots of the back into mine. I don't know if you guys saw those.
No.
It's called like Mouse the Babes, and this one called Sissy.
Okay.
They're like 3 or 4 page issues.
I did get the one about Sissy, yeah.
I didn't get any of them. So.
It's basically like just kind of short little 1 to 2 page stories of stuff going on at this time. So
like Mouse of Babes, they were like, it was just like a bunch of soldiers in a bar in like Vietnam, and they're like, it looks like all the Viet Cong are gone out of here, so they're just like taking the drinks and having a good time, and then they see like this one, like it's a zombie kid, but they don't know that at first, and then it starts attacking them.
Yeah.
And it has like starts biting them and all that sort of stuff, and then they're like, oh, we got him now. And then they're like, oh, it had a string around its tooth that like must have had a toothache. And they're like, I don't think that was a toothache. And then like a bomb explodes because like the tooth pulled the grenade.
I did get that one. Yeah.
And then
the Sissy one was like, he's at it's just this dude in like inside like a fenced-in area with like some other soldiers, but like his girlfriend, his like Vietnam girlfriend. He's like, I have a girl back home, but like, you end up falling in love with one of these people.
Yeah.
While you're over here. And he was like, that's my girl over there. And he's like, I know she's a zombie, but come and get me, babe. You're all I got left.
Yeah, and he like basically feeds another soldier to them at the
Yeah.
time, and then and they're just kind of those short little
cuts his
snippets.
head off and throws it over the fence.
It's brutal, yeah. And again, like kind of like all that stuff is just based in things that actually happened. Apparently, during the war, they would go to these villages and they would fence areas like that off, separating the men from the women, and supposedly U.S. soldiers could basically rent one of those women for the night, just go, take them to another nearby village, whatever it is, and just like they're their girl for the night. And so I think that's kind of actually what that girl was supposed to be to him. He saw her as like the new love of his life, but it's like, no, it's probably just a woman who you
rented.
Yeah, it's just, and again, it's just like, this is a messed up time for anyone who was involved with it. And then you add in, and now there's zombies. It's just going to make everything even worse. I think that's probably the best idea they could have had, visiting the zombie genre during a war. You could have done it during World War II. You could have done it during, Iraq even. It's like Vietnam was the right pick for this, because that war in particular is just one of the worst times of U.S. history, for sure.
To that point, I think that this particular story would have been really good in another medium. If they would have made a show or a movie about this, it would have changed the zombie industry forever. We probably would have ended up like with 12 Resident Evils like we have.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I'm just glad that Mila Jovovich and her husband who directed those movies can get work,
Yeah.
That's important. I need them to have that. But yes, I agree. And I think that we would eventually get something like this. Hollywood's always looking for another property to adapt. And
I don't see them ever going back this way. Like I think if
we haven't done zombies in a while, right?
Yeah,
I feel like if you made a movie or a show out of this, it being the source material it would get watered down. This, though, you can just take a real kind of hard look at what was the U.S. doing during this time? How are they acting? And not to get too political about it or whatever, but it's like we didn't really have any business being in Vietnam. And I don't think that's a secret to anyone. I don't think anyone feels very differently, but it's like you don't get to kind of do what they did here. And it's not like they did anything really that, outrageous or whatever in this, but I don't even think you get to do what they did here in a movie, because I feel like too many hands would get involved because there'd be too much money on the line.
Yeah.
With a comic, the stakes are a little lower, I think. And it is more gruesome. Like, it's more brutal. You wouldn't see some of the action sequences in this in a show or a movie, I don't think.
What is that new, and we're going down a rabbit hole here. What's that new movie with Dave Bautista, the zombie movie?
Army of the Dead?
That is probably
no. Army of the something. It's made by Zack Snyder.
Yeah, that is probably the closest movie that I've seen with zombies that gets close like to this comic.
And kind of what it would be and
action,
how,
blood, gore. Yeah,
man, I watched that.
Yeah.
There was another one that was a heist.
It's a prequel about the safecracker guy.
Lockcrack guy.
Yeah, who's the director of that movie?
Apparently. Oh yeah,
yeah. He's one of those guys who he's really, really big wherever he's from as far as an actor. Like, he's just a famous guy.
Yeah,
and he's slowly breaking into some Hollywood hit flicks. Like, he was in Oppenheimer for a second.
Probably from like Sweden or something like that, right?
Something like that. He's like a Sweden, Hungarian, Nordish person.
Nordic something.
White guy.
He's a white guy with blonde hair.
Whatever he is, I bet he was thirsty.
Danish?
Michael, it sounds like you're trying to do a subtle lead into a thing.
I'm also trying to get a refill.
Oh wow, we do have a drink that we're doing, and
we have a drink that Michael needs a refill on, so it must be pretty good.
We'll talk about it real quick, and then I'll put those things that I'm about to tell you guys into that thing for Michael, so that he can have another one.
That sounds excellent. Let's do that.
I'm not gonna have another one because
you might die and turn into a zombie.
Yeah, no, Erin's got the Tums on deck, and I'm glad she does.
You feeling it?
I'm feeling the Tums.
What are you feeling? What's in this drink that you're feeling?
God, there's 3 kinds of rum. It's called the zombie cocktail, and I saw a little like excerpt about why it's called the zombie thing. Apparently, like, the guy that made the drink, his name's like Don something or other, and his buddy was like, "Man, I have a hangover," and he's like, "Well, let me whip this up for you, a little hangover cure." And the guy drank that, and he was like, he felt like a zombie afterwards.
Because he put his entire liquor cabinet into a bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is white or light rum.
A white light rum.
It's like even parts of all this stuff. White rum, dark rum,
Gold rum.
151, lime juice, lemon juice, pineapple juice, simple syrup. This one said passion fruit syrup, but I used apple peach mango juice. Was still delightful. And then a dash of aromatic bitters.
I do love the aromatic bitters when we break them out.
I say all of the things. Yeah, I said all the things. It's all even parts of all those, actually, except the bitters, which is just one dash.
Is there any advice you would give to anyone who might follow the recipe that says to float the alcohol on top?
See, it's kind of like dealer's choice. It says optionally you could float it, and then I asked Michael what his option would be, and he said, I'm here for anything.
Okay.
And so I floated it.
I also...
And then we all took a sip, including Erin, and she made a zombie noise afterwards.
It's true, she did.
And then
it explains why she was so aggressive earlier at the beginning of the show.
Sip. Yeah, it was probably hit her too hard.
Too hard. She didn't have to hit us though. That's quite rude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Story
yeah, I
of my
floated
life.
it, which you can do by turning a spoon upside down and pouring the shot over the top of it. It leaves the alcohol to sit on the top for whatever reason.
That's a little tip for the people at home.
Yeah,
Mr.
something
Newman.
I learned.
Mr. Newman probably already knew that.
Yeah,
He's a physics teacher.
yeah, that's true. Water and torsion
Something like that.
words.
Torque, horsepower. Yeah. I also enjoyed kind of the history, or not the history lesson, but the history behind the liquor, because one of those liquors, one of the rums, is actually from Puerto Rico, and if I'm not mistaken, I could be, but the tall tale of the zombies started in the Caribbean.
Yeah, I think
Oh.
I don't know. I could probably let me.
Is that why the first villains in Pirates of the Caribbean are zombies?
I don't know if that was intended, but probably.
Has Johnny Depp been pulling one over on me this whole time?
Yeah, probably why the Spanish are still kind of zombies in the later movies. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if you
Potentially.
considered that a zombie or not, but yeah.
I've never seen those later movies. I gave up on that franchise. They're rebooting it though.
I've watched them all. They're all good.
Yeah, if it's not with Johnny Depp, I'm not interested.
Do you really want like current day Johnny Depp in those new ones though? Do you think?
I'd be okay with an old Captain
His
Jack
name's
Sparrow.
Don Beach. He was born Ernest Raymond Beaumont Gant.
I would also change
Apparently,
my
he's a
name to
legend
John
among
Beach.
bartenders.
Oh, okay. Well, so how do we feel about all the alcohol? I mean, Michael clearly likes it. He wants another one.
Yeah, I love it. It's great.
I really liked it,
I'm
especially once I stirred in the 151. That first sip was pretty rough, but
It's a very it's got a lot of bite to it. This one, you know, what's odd about this one, Higgins, is I feel less affected by this one as I did our last one.
Does that mean you're having another one?
Yes. No,
Yes,
I probably need
yeah.
to somewhat be sober for the ride home.
Gotcha. I feel
But
it.
That's how I
if
feel
I
about it,
didn't
too.
have to do that, Michael, I would definitely
have another
recommend
one.
having another one. This is a good drink. It just has a lot of bite. It I was almost kind
I mean,
of
at
taken
the-
aback by that.
Is that pun intended or pun unintended?
Oh wow, look at that.
Has a lot of bite.
Not originally intended, but now fully intended.
But yeah, I like the drink. It's got a lot of citrus, so have the Tums ready
Have
if
those
you need
Tums
it.
on deck.
I'll give you kudos though, because this is quite possibly one of my new favorite drinks.
Oh,
Man,
excellent.
look at
Like,
that.
yeah, you did
just
a
need
great job
You just
with
need
it.
like a lot of
You're a sucker for
lot of
rum
stuff.
though, and there's like three
Yeah,
different kinds.
I'm a rum guy.
Yeah.
This is my drink right here.
Excellent.
If I could give you a raise, I would.
man. What's it?
Just so you know, he can't.
I asked Michael if he had any ideas about what drink he wanted. He was like, I don't know. It's like a zombie book. You can do something with that, right? And you know what I did? I typed in zombie cocktail into Google. First one.
Well, no,
Nice.
not the first one, because the first one you picked had
The
like
first one had
specific
like
kinds
yeah,
of
had
things.
like something called Lanfernum or something like that, which is like some kind of ginger thing or something like that.
Yeah.
If I had done prior preparations, I might have been able to order all this stuff off of Amazon, but like sometimes I just don't think it's worth it to buy the hoopla stuff, because we have like lavender syrup in our like liquor cabinet that I'm just never gonna use again.
There
We
is,
use for like one drink.
you're gonna need a new cabinet soon. I looked in there the other day before
Got it.
your.
I mean, if there wasn't like 15 boxes of cereal in there, I might be fine. But
just imagine how many more bottles of liquor you could put if
Yeah.
it wasn't for all that cereal.
and if I like, organized it, because the bottom shelf doesn't like the tall bottles, and I definitely have tall bottles on the bottom shelf and short bottles on the top shelf. But that's the other thing. I need to stand on a chair to like get anything out of there. So
It's
Yeah,
true.
what is this organized chaos you got going on?
I think it's just chaos.
it's
right
just
now.
chaos. I just have the bottles wherever they fit,
Yeah.
Okay.
and like hope they don't fall down.
He's
Gotcha.
gotta before he organizes that. He's gotta take the doors off so his girlfriend doesn't get another concussion.
Yeah, she's Beth.
I've never seen anyone walk so hard into a door.
Yeah,
that
B-
was
B hit that cabinet door real hard.
I,
It was like
like-
open, and like I think she just thought she was short enough to walk underneath it, and then just like full on beamed like the metal part
Oh, bless you, Bessie.
that like
I'm
locks it
sorry.
in place.
That's Bessie's shout out for the
Yeah,
episode.
bless you. I'm
We
so
really
sorry.
We've covered all ground today. We've hit Aaron, we've hit Andy, we've hit Bessie. Like I don't
I know.
think-
I specifically like worked in the Andy one because I
Yeah.
was like, we haven't done an Andy one yet.
gotta fit that in. Contractually, we're obligated.
Yeah.
But why don't we take
Michael
a quick
that drink?
break, get him a drink, and then I think we've talked about the book mostly, so we can come
Yeah, I
back and do a
don't, I don't need
rating.
to say anything else about it.
Michael, we'll come back after the break and see if you want to say anything or just give it a rating.
Okay. Yeah, we'll play it by ear.
All right,
Yeah.
he just needs alcohol.
Yeah, let me see how I feel after this second.
All right. Well, I got mine in my brain before I stand up. I'm giving it the 69 bullet because
Oh, ha 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 ha. Yeah, you got to read the book for that one.
I don't get it. I'll think about it while you're gone.
It's the first page. Here you go.
Do you think you think it's 69 because he wants a sequel?
Oh.
I'll think on it some more.
I'll answer.
No, let me think on it. I don't think I'm gonna get it.
You forgot my glass.
But yeah, 69 bullet. It doesn't mean anything.
Is that like a hint of what's next, or?
I know I've been giving numbers to my ratings other times, but not this time. This one's just a funny number that relates to the book.
Do love some good smut. I don't like reading smut. I like smut being read to me though.
I don't like reading smut that doesn't even give me the time of day to actually put some smut in me.
You want that
I read
smut right up in you.
I read like a 450 page like fairy smut
Akatar.
book,
Akatar.
and yeah, and
I'm familiar. Higgins.
and like there was 1.5 sexy scenes.
The first one's a little bit tame on the sex. Yeah.
It was 1.5 sexy scenes.
Apparently, number 5 though is just. Whew.
I heard 2 is great. I
think,
I
yeah,
have it.
people
I
like
have
2,
it, and
yeah.
I'll get to it.
Can you just like do a YouTube video of you just reading the various like
Just the sex scenes.
just all the sex scenes?
I will pay you
It
to.
doesn't have to be like high production value. You can just like flip through the page in real time and then like think about it.
and call it like Higgins' horny house.
Oh, you could do it in your house. That's perfect.
Yeah.
More on that later.
So first off, again, kudos. This is
Yeah.
great. Yeah,
Oh, he's loving it.
I'm
Loving
loving it.
round 2.
Yeah,
We
I
would
made
love.
I made it a 1.5-er. I didn't go for the full double.
yeah. No, it's great. It's great. I love
I
it.
mean, yeah, gonna help you ease into the night. Just take a nice good nap.
Okay, well, that speaks to what I don't do at night because I don't go to bed till like 3:30 in the morning. So,
That's
That sounds like
crazy.
a personal problem.
yeah,
I have
So
a personal
This
problem.
might help me with my running later on.
Oh, great. As long as it helps you in
Okay.
some way. Could it help you give a rating to this book we talked about today, though?
Boy, that's a tough one. Part of me wants to be very inappropriate with this, but
Well, Higgins already did 69 bullets, so I don't think you could be more inappropriate than that.
yeah, with the amount of there's ways. I'm
Were you gonna give it the rating of double D?
You know what? I think I will.
Higgins, I don't like how horny this book has made you. That's my one complaint about it.
Yeah, I think I will give it a rating of a pair of double D's.
Well, 3 pairs of double D's.
Well, I'll give it 2 out of 3. Double
Yeah,
D's.
three pairs in this book.
Yeah.
So we have 69 bullets, 3 pairs of double Ds.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw
Ironically, nothing to do with zombies if you just have the surface rating, but it really does have to do a lot with the book.
That is true.
respect that. All right, good stuff. Sounds like solid ratings all around. I'm just gonna throw up a couple couple of these bad boys right here.
Just a couple peace signs.
Just a couple of peace signs for the boys.
All right,
nice. Boys right here. Keep it wholesome. You know, someone has to.
Yeah, somebody has to
keep them up. Just keep them up.
Somebody has to keep it pure.
Keep that up?
Yeah, I can keep them up. Wait, you do a little picture.
Make sure you get my Star Wars action figures in the background.
No, we got it.
Okay, he's got it. Can I put him down now?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
you're the one. You're the one with the rating. You tell us.
This is my.
Yeah,
I'm putting them down. I'm gonna
put
my guns up.
All right.
Bumming up. Readings for squares.
Oh my god, I holstered them just in time for a new segment. Excellent. So yes, this is Readings for Squares. It's where Higgins and I and our guest of the hour talk about things that aren't books, because now books are for nerds. We don't do books
are for
anymore.
nerds. We don't do that.
What do we do instead, Higgins?
I don't know. I was gonna ask Michael what he's been watching.
Michael, what do we do instead?
Or playing.
I was about to say, have you
listening? We've done music before. Right?
Well, Michael hates music as
well,
much
we
as
did
he hates
concert.
animals.
I don't hate music, but my music taste is questionable. But what I was going to ask is, have you boys spread liberty yet?
No, I haven't. I don't own a PC and or PlayStation, so I can't.
This is the
Helldivers 2.
Yeah, okay. This is the Starship
Helldivers 2.
Troopers thing. Okay, got it. So you've been playing that.
So I actually got it to play it. I haven't played it yet, but I have watched a lot of Twitch streamers. Rowan from BLDL, been watching him play.
Okay.
One of my close gym buddies, his name's Robbie. Shout out to Robbie. He's been playing it. He's been spreading liberty a lot, and I've been paying a lot of attention to it. So I just bought it.
Okay.
And I'm about to do a deep dive. But
hell yeah.
The thing that I wanted to, I'll talk about it, but some of the things that I've been reading into from a development perspective is, the motion asset that they use, the motion, that they have in game is very similar to Metal Gear Solid, the Diamond Dogs game. So if you've played that and you've enjoyed that,
they got lots of cover fire options and stuff like that.
Cover fire, diving fire, shooting from the back, like
chainsaws.
I don't know about chainsaws, but
all right.
Yeah, but there's a lot of motion that I think it's almost the exact same that they used. So if you like the Metal Gear series, you did well with them, you enjoyed it, and you're fairly good at it, and you'll also be a very good Liberty spreader.
I think I was talking about a different game. Gears of War.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
No. I'm sure at some point they'll include chainsaws to, for the insects, but for now it's just bombs and bullets.
Yeah, people are really digging this Helldivers game, which is weird because I don't think anyone really talked that much about the first one.
The first one was a really different game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
it's
that's
like
why.
it was like isometric and same general idea, but it was like an isometric type, over the top looking, same, still killing bugs, but much less, more like a twin stick shooter.
More strategy than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now they've kind of brought it into that
kind of like a CRPG,
massive multiplayer online.
Now it's like a third person shooter.
Yeah. I've seen gameplay. It looks really nice.
It's like PvP versus E. I don't know what the PvE.
I think it's just called PvE. You have a group of people
player versus everyone.
Yeah, well, player versus everything.
Yeah.
So you get a group of people together, and then you get dispatched to a planet, and you just kill everything that moves.
And it's
in the name of liberty. In the name of liberty.
In liberty.
Yeah, it's got a really heavy satire on democracy and stuff like that.
How dare you call it satire?
It's just Starship Troopers, I think, is more or less what your roommate Reese has played it, and he told me all about kind of how it works, the objectives of the game, and
my buddy Brad, he just recently started doing YouTube videos, and he has been doing videos about that and that other game, Dragon's Dogma. I'll give it a shouts out. It's Dive Bloom.
I was actually
on the YouTube. DIVEBLOOM.
Nice.
I'll look him
so
up.
Brad, if you're listening, there's your free plug. Don't ask again. He didn't ask the first time.
Dragon's
don't
Dogma,
do it again.
Dragon's Dogma 2 is another big title, but I have been hearing some negative things about, a lot of not in-game purchasing, but you have to purchase a lot of stuff before you actually start. I don't know if it's true. I haven't confirmed it, but I have seen kind of some screenshots of them selling the ability to customize your character and stuff like that.
Oh, God.
But what I have heard is that is strictly for people that just want to cut in line. You can get to that part of the game by playing and then just waiting. It's almost like a free to play versus pay to play. You both experience the same thing, just one person experiences quicker than the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I've heard. I haven't played it yet. I'm a big Dragon's Dogma fan. I have the first one. I've played 6,000 times. I was a big fan of the DLC that came out for it. So I'm really excited for the improvements that they've made in here. The graphics look incredible.
Yeah.
But I haven't had because my purchase went to Helldivers first. So
Yeah.
Hey man, that's fine.
yeah,
Perfectly
I hope
fine.
you play it soon.
I hope so too.
If anything, you
I
just
heard good
look at
things
it.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are really digging it. It's rare that a game comes out and from the get-go, people are like, this is good. This is a good version of the thing that they said they were going to do. That doesn't happen that often. Usually what happens is a game comes out and then you have to wait 6 months for them to fix it.
It's a different culture, man, because and you're going to get me into the game rabbit hole, but I remember in the 2010s, when Halo was coming out, people were waiting in line just to get it.
Midnight releases and such, yeah.
Yeah, you don't get that anymore. There's no excitement, and because everything's so remote, and I don't know if it's just because of that or just a different generation, it's just the easiest thing that you can do when I release is shit on it. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know,
It's
man. There's
true.
nothing much more exciting than me buying a game that I know I'm only gonna play about 30 minutes to 5 hours of. Honestly, I get more excitement out about getting a game that I'm excited about than I do actually playing it.
Yeah. Well, that to me, that's how it should be. Like, you see that trunk next to you, that's full of games that I've purchased and have physical copies of. Now everything's so remote and cloud oriented. It takes away the excitement. So when you get a game, you're either hooked or you're not. So you play 30 minutes to 5 hours, or you play the game to its entirety. There's no in between anymore.
It's like a saturation thing as well, right? It's like we didn't really have the output back then that we do now, where you're getting multiple AAA games every year. It's just like, no, this is going to be like one of the 2 biggest games of the year. And I'm going to play this one for 6 to 8 months because this is the only thing that's going to be out until the next big one. Like, there's a big thing coming out around the corner every time. So you do kind of lose the excitement because it's like, well, this isn't any bigger than the last thing that just came out last week. And that's not any bigger than the thing that came out the week before that.
No.
That's why for me, like, my favorite newer games in recent memories have just kind of been franchises that I'm attached to. So like, your Spider-Man 2s that came out last year, and then Jedi Survivor, which was a sequel to Fallen Order.
I gotta play that still.
Those for me are what
I
get excited about, where it's like I'm committed to this particular story, and I do prefer to just play it like a linear, like just give me a single player campaign. I'm not a huge multiplayer person. I have been playing a lot of Battlefield 2042 lately, though.
Really? And you haven't invited me?
I didn't know that you had it or cared anything about it, to be honest, but
all right.
It's a great game.
That's a deduction for you.
Oh, man.
No, no, I love.
That's where my raise is coming from.
No,
as long as someone's getting it.
I love 2042.
It's really good. I heard it was garbage when it came out,
and they took 6 months to fix it.
Yeah, so just adds fuel to my fire, but it is a good version of that now. And I think for me, what I like about that one, as opposed to, because I played Halo Infinite a lot last year, and while I do like it, that game pissed me off. I think why I don't really get as pissed off in this one, I say as pissed off, but I don't get as pissed off in this one because of how objective based a lot of it is, where it's like, I don't have to just kill. Like, it's not the only thing I'm doing here. I can just dedicate myself to repairing vehicles, and everyone has a purpose in that game.
Everybody has a role, just like real. I don't want to do comparison, but yeah, just like real combat. Everyone has a different role.
Just like that guy in the book that we just read, where he was the best telephone boy in the whole war.
It's true. No one telephoned like that guy did.
Benitez.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Benitez.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
But
let's pour some out for the boys. Not on my carpet.
I have nothing to pour out, but I do it in spirit. So yeah, I've been playing that.
I watched Dream Scenario, the new Nick Cage joint.
Oh, okay.
On HBO or just Max, I guess.
I think they're just maxing it now. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just Max, but it's called Dream Scenario. Nick Cage is playing this balding, pretty normal guy, like professor guy.
So he didn't wear a wig for this one, is what you're saying?
I don't know. It's probably a wig, but like it's like a full on like cul-de-sac, and he looks old and like just a very normal looking dude. He's doing Nick Cage stuff a little bit, but the premise of the movie is that all of the sudden Nick Cage is just in people's dreams.
Oh,
and it's just across the world. It's like a phenomena. A lot of the dreams are pretty violent, and then he'll just like be like walking through, and all of a sudden they're like, I saw you in my dream last night, or like, you look really familiar. Have you been here before? And stuff like that. And he's like, no, I haven't done that. And then just more and more people are like,
Putting it together.
it's like
yeah.
this one guy's wife had a dream of him in there, and this lady at their dinner party was like, this one random guy just like walked through my dream and was just like watching this thing happen to me. And she was like, can you show me a picture of that? And it was him. And then like,
Wait.
it kind of follows.
Hold on. She asked to see a picture of the man she saw in her dream?
Well, she mentioned that story, and then the lady that knew Nick Cage's character was like, "Oh, this guy I know was in my dream, just kind of staring, and his name's Paul." And then she was like,
she had a picture of Paul,
like from like Facebook or something like that.
I have questions. First off, you said he was a professor?
Yeah, he's a professor about like animal behavioral type stuff. Like,
so he teaches the same topic that Andy does.
Yeah,
Okay.
he talks about why zebras have stripes, like why zebras have stripes and stuff like that.
Okay, and then the second question is, does he have the Declaration of Independence?
No, he doesn't even talk about it one time.
Damn it!
But maybe he has it in his. I mean, maybe they just assume that he has it, so they don't bring it up in this movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of dreams happening, and we don't talk about them all. So maybe he did take that Declaration of Independence in one of those dreams.
It's a magical document, so like if he has it in his possession, who knows what he's capable of.
I don't want to talk about it any more than that. It gets dark. It's kind of a comedy. I don't know that I can relate it to anything else. It's a Nick Cage movie, so it's weird and like kind of has a point, but not really.
Yeah.
Like a lot of his like more recent stuff where he's kind of doing film, I guess you could call it, more than movies.
It's just a man who loves cinema. Yeah.
Yeah. But like it gets dark is all I can say.
Okay.
And Michael Cera's in there, and he does great. He has a little beard.
I do love Michael Cera and his little beard.
He's
now,
he's like an agent, like a media agent.
Oh, I see. Okay. Nice.
There's a couple other people in there.
Would you say it comes recommended, or
I'd watch it.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to give it like
Well, I mean, you have watched it.
I'm
so.
not going to give it like a rave review or anything like that. But if you're like looking for something to watch, it's definitely like worth like the hour 30 that you can knock it out in.
Okay.
That's the other good part. Hour 30.
Sweet spot.
I'll throw hour 30 down the trash can. I'll watch any movie that's an hour and 30 minutes.
Child's play. Child's play for you. Yeah.
You put a 2 hour and 30 minute movie in there, even if I want to watch it, I might not.
Unless it's Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I started watching Poor Things the other day with Bethany. We've watched it twice now, and we still have like an hour left.
That's too funny.
Because you keep starting it over? Or?
No, because we'll watch like an hour and then like have something to do, and then we'll watch an hour and then like we'll fall asleep.
Is it one of those things that like you watch an hour and then you watch half of that and then you watch half of that and then eventually
we just start from where we stopped off last.
Okay, yeah, cool. I've seen a lot.
It's just like 2.5 to 3 hours long.
Yeah,
it's just long. It's an Oscar movie, so they made it.
Well, like most things that guy does, it seems also very kind of meandering and weird, which
Yeah.
can be fun, but also if it doesn't have a point, why am I watching it?
I think this.
And I like what that guy does.
I think this has a point. It's also very sexual.
I've seen a dance scene with Emma Stone and Mark Ruffalo, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you see Mark Ruffalo's ass. That's pretty good.
I never talked about that last episode, but I don't remember. Maybe
I don't
we did.
remember either.
Maybe we just talk about it a lot in our personal lives. I know for a
I
fact
might have
that
talked
you've
about it when we went and got pizza the other day.
Well, I know
Sorry,
for a
Michael.
fact that you've told me about Mark Ruffalo's ass, and I'm not upset about it.
Yeah,
but I am upset.
It looks just like you think it would.
Oh my god!
And yet somehow better than you thought it would too. Very, very odd. Well, none of that is upsetting, but unfortunately, what is upsetting is it's time to wrap the show up. I think.
Oh yeah, we have to talk about what we're gonna read next month
and who we're gonna read it with.
Yeah, I hope that he's still down because he said he was gonna be down. Our my good disc golf buddy. I guess he's just a good buddy now. We hang out. His name's Heath. He was like, I don't really read comics, but I think I'd like to be a part of your podcast. And as you guys might have noticed over the past 3 months, this is the year of the guests.
It's true.
This is the first time we've mentioned it, but this is the year of the guests. We're in month 4 now, so we might as well keep going strong.
Honored to be part of it.
Good thing we have at least 12 friends, right?
At least.
If not, you're gonna need to make some friends.
We'll just maybe start it over.
We could just start over, yeah. But
All right.
until then, we're gonna have Heath.
And I gave him 2 options. One was to Kill or Be Killed, and the other was The Fade Out. He didn't really pick one because he was like, I don't really know what's what, so I'm picking for him, and I'm picking The Fade Out.
Okay, perfect.
Because I feel Kill or Be Killed kind of little samey to what we just samier than what The Fade Out is to what we just read this one.
Fair enough. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well,
So The Fade Out by Ed Brubaker and that other guy that does stuff with him,
Sean Phillips.
There you go.
Yep, that's right. So yes, we're gonna read The Fade Out. That's good.
You've already been reading it, right?
Yeah, probably about done with the first volume's worth. It's a 12-issue series, so we'll probably just cover the first 6. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll cover the first 6 issues of The Fade Out next month with Higgins' good disc golf or just good buddy.
Yeah.
Heath. That's exciting for me and for everyone.
I already own the book too.
This
Nice.
is perfect.
I don't even got to spend money this month.
No, but you do have to tell Heath. He's
Yeah.
got to read that one now
Yeah, I will.
specifically, so you should do that.
I'm gonna do
And then he
something.
can come to my house.
So I'm gonna do something unexpected that I don't think has been done before.
Perfect.
I'm gonna challenge someone, Mr. Newman. I do expect you to be in the episode afterwards.
Oh, we're doing Reese after him.
Okay,
right?
the one,
Heath,
the,
right?
the one after that. At some point,
we're gonna get him in before the end of the year.
At some point during the year of the guest, Mr.
Oh yeah,
Newman,
we're getting him in here.
Yeah.
He's already put his dulcet tones on this podcast one time, but
yeah. And Andy, it's about time.
We need him on that crisp mic that Snoop fixes so well.
Yeah. Shout out.
Shouts out.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Ride your bike over here. Let's go.
All right. Well, I guess I'll pick up my broom and clean up Michael's house.
Yep.
Do that by saying that you can find me at X, I guess now. Mike Higgins 93. I don't really go on there. Instagram, JSterm93. I still get notifications from it though, so if you say something to me, I'll probably see it. You can find Snoop at Instagram at Snoop_Lynch.
Mhm.
That's it. And you can find Michael at his email or some of the other things.
Yeah, so you can find me at 008studios.com. That's 0-8studios.com.
That's where his contact stuff is, where you can talk to him about all of the things.
All of the things. And then ideally, you can also follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube with the same title, 008. So all those are active. I am very active on all those. So any one of those works.
Excellent.
And if you want to email us about anything, like, I don't know,
what to read next.
Yeah, what to read next. What drinks you like to make.
Who's your favorite guest?
What color underwear you're wearing.
What class does Mr. Newman actually teach? Because I'm sure for most people at this point who listen and pay attention, it's very confusing.
And
he's a geometry teacher.
Sure.
Maybe if you just want to say that we're doing a good job, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 stars all around.
You can do that at 0-0-8. No. Not this time. The Comixology Club at 0-0-8studios.com.
Exactly.
Yeah,
there it is.
I guess.
Or at your local platform, Apple, Google, YouTube, whatever the case may be. I think Google Podcasts is actually merging with YouTube Music now.
It is, yes. They're getting rid of it.
Yeah, so any of those podcast platforms.
We're on literally everything. I Googled us one time and there was like podcast apps that I've never heard of.
Yeah, you're welcome.
They're out there.
And if you're using those, I don't know why. I guess Stop Big Business or something.
You're welcome.
But if you're on those and you can leave a review and or a rating, that would be great.
Do that, yeah.
Do
if
it,
you want.
preferably 5 stars. But I mean, I'm not your boss.
Yeah.
I don't think Michael's your boss.
No, he's our boss though.
He's our guest boss.
He's our guest boss. That's right. Who knows where our regular boss is?
Yeah, I don't know where he is.
I think it's Erin, actually. I think we established that last time. It's Erin. But she's in the other room, so she can't tell us what to do right now. So as Higgins mentioned, you can leave us emails, you can leave us reviews, you can do all those things, and you can join us next month for an episode with Heath where we talk about The Fade Out. Until then, I'll say cheers, guys, because that's what I say. I will turn over to Higgins and remind him to get that egg in him.
Do you want to do your sign out?
Yeah, writers, keep your word count out. Developers, get that motivation up. Let's do it.
And I'm going to say... join us on AMC and watch the newest episode of Fear the Walking Dead.
Oh, we're not even on the main show. That's worse.